Hey guys, welcome to She Knows Arsenal. My name is Jessica and I'm your host, and you can follow me on Twitter at It's Justino. So today is going to be the match preview for the most important game of the season, which is Arsenal versus Villarreal at home for our second leg in the Europa League semifinal. So I think we all kind of know how important this game is, just from a standpoint of we need some sort of European competition next season. I don't know what Arsenal, the club, looks like outside of Europe. I've never watched Arsenal without some sort of European competition. So I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how that would affect finances. And quite frankly, I don't really want to find out. So I'm looking at this game like, okay, we need to get past there, and then we can start talking about what we do from that point forward. But I don't think it's like I think we're in it, but I'm not sure if I feel confident. I'm not sure if the mentality is there. I'm not sure if Arteta is going to be able to galvanize the team enough to get them over the line, because it's really not about the lineup. It's really not about like who's available and who's not. It's about, do they have the mentality to push through? I mean, they can play like crap for all I care as long as they push through and get a goal. You know, I'm not really looking for a vintage Arsenal, passing, beautiful football, poetry in motion type of game. I just want them to get it over the line, because they've really left it late. We're in a decent position, but not a great one. And it's Unai Emery of all people, and he's very good in this competition. So Arteta's going to have to get it spot on. But for the match preview, I have two amazing guests. So I'm going to go ahead and bring them in. I have Albert. Hey, Albert. Hold on.
There you go. Sorry.
Well, how are you?
I'm good. First thing I must say, Jess, let me get this out of the way. Well done on 1K. Much deserved. Yeah, you've been on fire, man. You've embraced this the YouTube streets, as you call it, brilliantly. Well done.
Yes, the YouTube streets. I'm all up and through there. You guys will find me here, there, and everywhere. But thank you so much. And obviously, you've been a big part of that. Somebody else who's been a big part of that is Dan. If you guys don't know, he's one of the first people that pushed me and really tried to get me out there and had me on Same Old Arsenal and all types of things. Been really nice to me and accommodating. I really appreciate it. Dan, how are you today?
I'm very good. Nice to be back on, Jess, with you and Albert. Always got time for Albert. I'm looking forward to talking Arsenal with both of you. It's a massive game tomorrow. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this tonight.
Yeah, for sure. And just in case you guys don't know, in America, we call this a croissant. Apparently, it's not a croissant. It's a croissant, because we're fancy. So they were making fun of me backstage. But, hey, this is my croissant, and I'm looking forward to eating that.
Is it nice? Is it nice? Is it nice, Jess?
Yeah.
It's tasty.
Yeah, very tasty.
It's delicious. I warmed it up. I made sure that it was nice and soft, and so I'm very happy to eat this later. But I just had to let people know that you guys are making fun of me and bullying me backstage. Not nice.
Well,
not nice at all.
It's not bullying. It's character building. Character building, man. Character building, Jess. That's what it is.
On a daily basis, people are telling me I'm pronouncing literally everything wrong. Everything, from the way I say Saka, apparently it's Saka, and I'm not saying it right. I don't know. I'm failing, but you guys know. Got my little American accent, so that's what's gonna happen.
We love you for it. We love you for it, really.
We do.
Thanks, guys. So let's get started and talk a little bit about the game. So, Albert, a lot of the fans have predicted that Emery is going to be kind of pragmatic. He may sit back and kind of go for the 0-0. Do you think there's a chance that Emery will kind of surprise us, or, do something different, go in a different direction? Or do you think that he'll kind of sit back?
Oh, absolutely, dude. Absolutely not. This guy's more than pragmatic. That was the issue in the first leg. That second half, they played into a hand Villarreal. He was extra cautious, and if you shut your eyes for one moment, you would have thought that he was managing Arsenal still. That's how similar it was. That's what we've seen with Unai Emery. But you got to remember, this going into the second leg, we have to score. They're still ahead in the tie, so they're not going to come out in the front foot. Just we will have. I think we will have more of the ball. I would expect that anyway, being at home, but more so for the fact that how serious this game is. And yes, last chance saloon, absolutely. So big game tomorrow, massive.
Let me take you off of this. Yeah, for sure. And do you think, like Velvishwan says, whoever scores first determines the tie? Do you think that that's true, Albert?
You know what it is? I didn't know this. Arsenal haven't kept a clean sheet at the Emirates since end of January. I mean, I didn't realize it's that bad. I knew it wasn't good, but I didn't realize it's that bad. So if we concede tomorrow, don't be surprised. Even if they score first tomorrow, just it kind of doesn't. It obviously it does change things a bit more because we have to score 2 goals anyway. Let's be honest. I think we do because I don't think defensively we're good enough, irrespective of who the back 4 is, to keep a clean sheet to get us through. If you look at our recent games, it's only literally a couple of clean sheets in about 15, 16 plus games.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting. Team lineup's going to be one of them ones tomorrow where we haven't got a clue what this man's going to do. I hope he doesn't do what I think he's going to do in terms of playing particular personnel out of position. But it's interesting because he hasn't actually ruled David Luiz out, which tells me I think he'll play tomorrow and actually would prefer if he starts tomorrow.
Yeah, I think there's been some mind games, in regards to who's available and who's not. I mean, I think there's some mind games from Emery as well, saying that we're favorites to go through still, and all this kind of stuff, just kind of putting the onus on us, even though they're the ones that are actually in the position they should go through based on what they've done. But I think there's mind games, but I think more than anything, I still think that the lineup is kind of neither here nor there. We need to have the right mentality. But Dan, do you think Arteta will go safe or try to catch Emery off guard? We kind of talked about a little bit of those mind games, and he tinkered last week and it really, really backfired on him. So do you think Arteta will get the lineup and tactics right? And do you think that he'll try to do something that Emery's not really maybe considering at the moment?
Well, I know what Unai Emery's going to do because everybody does. I just don't have a clue what this manager's going to do. Man, I've got no time for this dude at all. And after last week, I look at that team selection and I look at the formation, and that just proves everything I've been saying since November is correct. And it's just proved his naivety. I don't have any trust and faith in this manager to take us forward. And I don't have any trust and faith that this manager is going to get us through tomorrow night. I just don't. I've seen enough. My eyes don't lie to me, Jess. Do you know what I mean? I've seen this since November. I've been calling this dude out, saying that he's not ready, saying he's not good enough. And the guy's done nothing but prove me right at the moment. And as much as this isn't about sides and being Arteta in and out and being right or wrong, I just want my team to win football games. And I'm not seeing that under this manager. And at the Emirates, Albert said we hadn't kept a clean sheet since January. We haven't won at the Emirates since a North London derby in March. I mean, why have I got any faith in beating Villarreal in this situation? So I do think, personally, it's going to be a question of who starts. Now, the team selection has always been impossible to predict under this manager. Yeah, nobody saw that coming the other day. Nobody understood what the formation was. Nobody knew what the false 9 situation was. I was having a chat with a couple of the lads on the podcast on Same Old Arsenal, and they said false 9, false coach, which made me laugh because I just thought, you know what, that summed him up. There was no understanding of where anyone was supposed to be playing. I just want to see our best team. Our best team currently needs to be playing tomorrow night. And that includes Martinelli. That includes Kieran Tierney. That includes Xhaka in midfield with Partey. I want to see nothing silly from this manager. I need to see that he has learned from his mistakes quickly because he's not proven to me that he has. I have no faith going into this game, Jess. And it's a shame because our season's over if we lose this, I don't give a damn about the other 4 Premier League games personally. It's all about tomorrow night. And if we do not go through, then it's going to be a devastating season, probably the worst season in the history of my support in Arsenal since 87 onwards. It's been the worst. So, yeah, I have no faith in this manager, unfortunately. It's pessimistic, it's negative, but my eyes don't lie to me. And what I'm seeing is pretty shambolic. And the win against Newcastle, was great as it was, I don't think we're going to see those players that deserve to be playing tomorrow night in the team. I really don't.
Albert, you wanted to come in on that?
Yeah, just sort of off the back of what Dan was saying about Arteta's tactics and having no faith in him. Jess, you know me, I'm not going to come on your channel and talk rubbish, right? The thing is, It's like Dan says, you know, you could talk about tactics, you could talk about formations, you could talk about COVID or no money to spend. Your eyes don't lie to you, and you see what you see in terms of performances. And the thing is, I've said it on your channel, just particularly in mine, that for the ones that are, how can I put it, like pro Arteta or want him to sort of stay, for example, forget what the board are going to do or what they might not do. What is it you're seeing that you're so convinced? Because people talk about context, for example, and I'm like, okay, I think in the Premier League, for example, we've only done the double over 2 teams, if that's right, Sheffield United and Newcastle. 7 home defeats, the worst since the Premier League started. I mean, some people probably in the chat and watching this are not even old enough to, probably weren't even alive when that happened. There's a lot of aspects as to why he shouldn't be given an opportunity, and I'm kind of scratching my thinking, well, what is it that you see in this guy? He's been afforded a lot of luxury, and I don't know in any sort of workforce or any work organization for whatever people do for their jobs where there's no repercussions. To me, it's crazy. Like, you know, we're going to write off the season, for example, if we don't win the Europa League, which I hope we do get through tomorrow, by the way, but he still got a job. That makes no sense to me in any era of football. It doesn't make sense. You know, what's his remit?
It doesn't make sense, and we'll talk a little bit about it, more about it at the end. But I just think as club at Arsenal's size should not be sitting here thinking about a manager staying after a season like this. You know, I know that that's the position that the Kroenkes are in, where they're not quite the type of owners that are going to make the right decisions because they don't know what those decisions are. You know, they're so disengaged from what we're supposed to be doing that they don't get it, you know. And I fear that we're only being linked with other managers now because they're trying to get back in the fans' good graces and make it seem like they're a serious club. But I don't believe that they'll be able to identify the right coach if they do sack Arteta. I don't think they're willing to spend the money that it would take to get that person there at Arsenal coaching the team. They're not going to pay them because better coaches will want more money, and they're not going to release the amount of funds that it would take to get us where we need to be. So those factors alone put us in a position where I'm like, even if they do sack Arteta, what are we going to get after that? Being linked with Mauricio Sarri, to me, just lets me know, like, if that is real, we still don't know what we're doing, you know. So either we're going to suffer with Arteta or suffer with another coach. It's just Emery was a bad hire. Arteta was not the right hire. And now if you hire Mauricio Sarri, I know that's not the right hire either. So it's all looking a little bleak, you know, but we'll focus a little bit on just the game today or tomorrow. And let me do this, and then I'm going to share my screen because we're going to build our formation for tomorrow. So I'm going to share my screen. It's going to look a little funky for a second.
I like funky.
It's good, Jeff. It's different.
Can you guys see?
Yeah.
You can see it? Okay, cool. All right, so I think we're going to play in a 4-2-3-1 unless Arteta just decides to do something so crazy. And that
Where's the false nine? Where's the false nine? And Matt Ryan up front.
Matt Ryan up front.
You guys, come on now.
Williams playing wing back, I think, tomorrow. I'm not sure.
Oh my goodness. Hopefully not, you know, but we'll leave the goalkeeper for last because I think that's kind of like going to be an interesting conversation. But let's just start with the right back. You know, Bellerin played against Newcastle, and I don't necessarily think he did anything special. He's been out of form the entire season. It's so funny how he was playing every single game, and then like at a drop of a dime, like he's just ousted from the team. And Cedric doesn't get that position, but then Callum Chambers does. And although I think Callum Chambers has played okay, I think the best intermediate person is probably Cedric. But because he didn't play well at left back, he made one mistake. He's iced out. It's hard to decide who would play right back. What do you think, Dan?
It's difficult to decide for us, but I know what the team's going to be, and I know the right back's going to be Callum Chambers. It will be. I think he's going to stick with him there. That's why he only come on the other day when Luis come out. But I sit there and think Bellerin was okay against Newcastle. Couple of runs down the right-hand side. I just don't like the player. I don't think he's going to play him. And Cedric just seems so out of favour at the moment. I would actually play Cedric. That's who I would go with. because I think he is a fullback. I still don't think Callum Chambers is. I think Callum Chambers can get beat, lack of pace. So, yeah, they're all a mixture of a right back, aren't they? Bellerin's got the pace. Cedric's got the ability on the ball. Callum Chambers has got the defensive ability. If you could mix all three of them, you'd probably have a right back who was half decent. Unfortunately, we've got three very average ones. So I think it's going to be Callum Chambers personally.
Albert, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I've had it. I've like in the team I sort of put down, or what I thought in my head. Chambers would be right back. I mean, I think we know what Arteta will do. I'd be very surprised tomorrow if I see anything different. But you know what I would do personally. You know, obviously I'm not Granit Xhaka's biggest fan, but if for the here and now, you play him in midfield. So if it meant you play Chambers at right back and you play Cedric at left back, I don't think that's a gamble because they're fullbacks, they're defenders. Why would you put a midfield player in defense when you have defenders that can play left and right back? It doesn't make no sense. So for me, Chambers will go in at right back, which I think he will be, mate, to be fair.
Yeah, I think my biggest issue with this is just when you have Callum Chambers here who plays right back more similarly to a right-sided center back, and then you have Granit Xhaka who obviously is going to play like a left-sided center back, you don't have anybody that goes forward. And then assuming that if Granit Xhaka is at left back and El Neni plays in the midfield, and so does Thomas Partey, you're putting an awful lot of stress on these four players to be all of our offense. And so with just, if they put 5 players back here, play with a back 5, what are the chances of our left mid, our right mid, and striker being able to do it all? It's very easy to mark without any overlaps from these 2 players here, and not a single midfielder that's going to make late runs into the box.
Sorry, Jess. You know the mad thing is, right? After the first leg, right? I'm not no coach. I haven't got no coaching badges. I've got a lot of things, but not coaching badges, right? Mm-hmm. You would have seen that first leg, right? Chukwueze gave Xhaka nightmares. We made 1/4 look like Philip Lahm. Like, if Arteta does the same thing tomorrow, to do what's the famous Albert Einstein saying again? You do like doing the same thing twice or whatever he said. It is, to me, it's crazy if he does it tomorrow. If he plays Xhaka left back, for me, it's insanity. He can't be playing there tomorrow after what happened in the first leg.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm just looking at it, I'm like, we need to get more. If we anticipate Unai Emery sitting back, which is what I think he'll do, I just can't imagine having only 3 offensive players out there. If this is not Emile Smith-Rowe and it's Odegaard, I mean, he does add goals sometimes, but you're asking an awful lot of these 3.
Yeah.
An awful lot of these 3. And if we're going to have a lot of the ball, we need to have more offensive players out here. So I almost feel like I'd rather see Bellerin just for the fact that I know that he'll bomb forward. He'll have like another body, but we know it's going to be Callum Chambers. So that kind of is what it is, you know. But for the center backs, I think it's kind of interesting. I think, like you guys already said, you have to play Luiz. I think Albert said that you have to play Luiz if he's relatively fit, because there may not be another game to play. And I'd rather get 60 minutes out of David Luiz than no minutes and be sitting there watching Rob Holding kick it out of the end line every single time he tries to kick it forward. If we have possession, I just feel like you need to play David Luiz if he's fit. Do we all kind of agree there?
Go on, Dan. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, go on.
Well, if David Luiz is fit, I'd play David Luiz and Gabriel together. But I'm not sure that he is fit. I've just literally had a message probably an hour ago saying he might be fit. If he is fit, he plays. Same as Kieran Tierney. You know, they're the best 2 options we've got there. If David Luiz isn't fit, I think he'll go back to Rob Holding and Pablo Mari. I really do. You know, Gabriel, for me, has been a brilliant player this season. He's had a couple of dodgy moments when he had the COVID and stuff like that. I don't think he deserved to be bombed out the side, in my opinion. Yeah. I think it's bad management, again, from another player who's mismanaged. So I think he's probably going to go Pablo Mari and Rob Holding, because I'm not sure David Luiz is going to be 100% fit.
Oh, that's just, to me, is just, you're asking for it. You're asking for it because Mari's been okay, but neither him or Rob Holding have the technical ability to dribble out of the back and beat the press or pass the ball into space in behind. So if we do that, I think it's going to be a long long day,
I don't
but
understand the Rob Holding love either. Like, don't get
I
me
don't
wrong.
get it. I don't get it.
The dude is a very average centre half, and everybody says he's like our new Tony Adams, or he's this Cannavaro character. This
I've not
guy
heard that.
is not good enough for Arsenal. I don't care what anybody says. He's fine as a fifth choice centre half, but he is not good enough to start every game for Arsenal. He's just not. At the last few games, all I think of this season with Rob Holding is him breakdancing in front of Jack Grealish, getting screwed over and standing in the box, marking space instead of Ollie Watkins, getting done by not just a 5'4" Sterling, but then a 5'6" Jota the week after. I just get, this guy is not good enough, man. But he seems to love him, and he's giving him the play. He's our captain at the moment. I mean, this is how bad it's got. It's oh man, I don't get it. For me, it's going to be Pablo Mari and Rob Holding, because David Luiz, I don't think he's going to be fit over coming off of a hamstring a couple of days ago.
I'm going to keep it 100. I think you have to play Gabriel, regardless to if the relationship between him and Rob Holding is not great.
Yeah, I agree.
Because if you put Granit Xhaka at left back, which I think he will play, you can't have Mari and Granit Xhaka there on that left-hand side. You're asking to get done again.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'll put Rob Holding here, but I think I'm just going to put Gabriel in there because I would hope that Arteta would have enough sense. Was Rob Holding not involved? Is he not in this thing? Does he?
Maybe I don't think he is. Put me in there.
Oh, there he is. I was like, does he not exist in this thing? How pathetic. Okay, so we'll put Gabriel in here. Arteta needs to. In a better world, we would be able to play Marie and Gabriel together because they're the better options, but they're both left-footed, and 3 left-footers in the back line. Whew, that sounds devastating to me. And I think we can all agree that I still don't think Tierney is ready. I think it'll be Granit Xhaka. Do you guys think so too?
I'll be surprised to see Tierney start tomorrow. As much as I love him, Scottish Braveheart, but I don't think he'll be playing tomorrow. The Gabriel thing, I just want to say quickly, Jess. I sort of touching what Dan was saying about Holding. I've always said to people, right, and I always try my best to keep it to inverted commas footballing reasons when I talk about certain players. And I always say to people, tell me what Rob Holding is good at as to why you stick by this guy and live and die by this guy. And, I can see why he's been kept at the club. And I just don't see it. We was going to send this guy out on loan at the start of the season. So he can't have thought about him. He can't have thought about him that highly. The Gabriel thing, I just think, you know what? For his first season in English football, and Dan mentioned about the COVID, which was a big factor, and obviously from that he kind of was. Let's be fair, he was bombed at the team to be honest. Like, he's done all right. Like, let's cut him a bit more slack and stop saving our sentiment FC for Rob Holding. I don't understand it.
So we're still talking about Rob Holding years and years later, and it's just he's mediocre.
Do you know what it is? You know what it is? I think Dan might agree or disagree with people in the chat, but it's almost like, people remember what happened years ago. He played well in the FA Cup final. That's 4 years ago. Yeah. Like, you can't hang on to a player and want him to stay because of sentiment reasons. Like, he had a good game, but that's 4 years ago.
And he's never. I mean, have we been able to talk about a body of work from him like an entire season? He's usually injured. Yeah, so he's either injured or he plays one good cup game. And that's like the story of our team. We're so inconsistent. We can't string together a good run of form. Our players will show up once in a while and we'll hold on to that. And we can't hold on to it. Rob Holding, to me, is like a 20-year-old because he's been out of the team for so long that he's never developed. So it's like we're looking at him like he's young. He's not young like Gabriel. He's not young like Saliba. He should be a lot farther along. And because he's not, I'm thinking he should be playing for another team. He's supposed to be going on loan to Newcastle, but he's starting for Arsenal, captaining the squad, and we're surprised that we're giving up goals. It's annoying to me. It's like the situation that we're in. We either have to rely on David Luiz, who's inconsistent and our best defender, but inconsistent and older, or Rob Holding, who's just mediocre, but then are probably one of our best and brightest is at Nice playing in a whole different league, in a whole different team, paid 27 million for him, and he can't get in this team. That's really frustrating to me. But going into the final, we're probably going to start with Callum Chambers at right back and Holding at right-sided center back and Granit Xhaka at left back. And that just says it all to me. That says it all.
Go on, Dan. Sorry, mate.
I hate that back line. that just, oh man, that just gives me nightmares. And we've got two players on the right-hand side that haven't even got one cap for England between them. We've got a left back who is an absolute statue of a man, does not move, has no athleticism.
Yeah,
has already got beaten by Chukwueze all day long last week. If he plays that back four, man, listen, Gabriel, I like him a lot, but he's got no chance with the three alongside him. I cannot. Tierney has to play, even if he's 25% fit. You know, listen, I don't care if Tierney misses the rest of the Premier League season. Just play him tomorrow night. It doesn't bother me because he's better than that absolute donkey. I can't stand Granit Xhaka, man. I absolutely hate him as a footballer. If he's in the middle, I can just about accept him next to Partey, right? Just about. I don't want this dude as my left back. He gets exposed and he will have him on toast yet again. It worries me, Jess.
It does. It worries me too. But the only thing I can say is that one of the biggest reasons why Xhaka seemed to be getting like really exposed in the last leg was because the person that was playing here is a bumblebee. He likes to follow the ball and he's not composed. He's not positionally aware. And that was Dani Ceballos. I'm so glad that he doesn't have even the opportunity to be played because he single-handedly has been trying to get us kicked out of the Europa League just by himself on a one-man mission. So at least we know if El Neni plays here, which is who I hope plays there. I hope Arteta doesn't go with some weird formation where, I don't know, we play something that we've never played before. But I think El Neni is a safe enough bet to be here and just tell him to stay. Just tell him to stay, manage the back line, and keep their right-sided winger or whatever from bombing up on Granit Xhaka. I think that's the best that we can hope for, is that he's smart enough to do that and not put Thomas by himself and put two more offensive people. You're exposing everybody then. You know?
I have Elneny in my starting lineup actually.
Same.
Yeah, I think Elneny starts there. And again, that just speaks to where we are as a club, where we're relying on Elneny. He's one of our best midfielders.
In our biggest game of the season. Jesus, man.
100%. And after the last leg, I think what disappointed me the most was Thomas Partey, to be honest. You guys know I'm like a big advocate for him. I think he's one of the, in that entire pitch, out of the 22 players that were out there on the pitch, he was the only world-class player out there on both teams. And he didn't show up. And I know it's difficult in a team doesn't have a lot of quality, but I need him to step up in this game. He cannot be getting beat on headers, on obvious headers. Like he was culpable for the second goal, in my opinion, and he just never really got going. He looked better once Ceballos got off the field, and I think that's because he had some breathing room. And Ceballos, again, is like a bumblebee, but I'm hoping having Elneny next to him potentially will give him some space and room to maneuver, but the guy has got to step up. I mean, do you guys kind of agree with that Thomas, this is the game that we need to see him kind of take the reins and take us forward?
Yeah, 100%. I think Thomas Partey's partner is fine in Granit and Mohamed Elneny. I see at Old Trafford it was the best I've seen our midfield all season, to be honest with you, with those two. I think they complement each other better than Dani Ceballos and Thomas Partey. Listen, if Kieran Tierney's fit, he's going to play and Xhaka will bomb Elneny out of the team, 100%. But I, like you guys, can't see that happening. So unless there's a miraculous recovery, I think it's Elneny and Partey. As far as Thomas Partey goes, we haven't seen him this season, and I think we will next season, because I believe he has had so much chop and change around him. When you're trying to settle yourself, it's very hard when you have a different partner every week, different partner next to you, different centre-back partner behind you, and a different number 10 or right winger or left winger or centre forward in front of you. Because how many of this team stay in that position week in, week out, apart from Leno, Thomas Partey, that's it. The others all mix around them both. So we have a different right back. We've had about 15 right backs this year, We've had different centre-back pairing every single game. We can't. That's why we can't pick this side. A different left back because Tierney's been injured. El Neni, Partey, Xhaka, Ceballos, Willock, Maitland-Niles. How many more of these are we going to see in the middle? Ødegaard and Smith-Rowe in the number 10. Sometimes it's been Pepe, sometimes it's been Saka. Lacazette's been up front. Sometimes it's Aubameyang, Martinelli comes on. I can't pick this team because he doesn't stick to the same players or formations. So it's very, very hard for a player to come in from a different league who is, let's be honest, head and shoulders above anybody on his day. And he's got to try and settle in with some of these Muppets and this Muppet manager. I want to see next season what Thomas Partey's at, and I think we will. But in this game tomorrow, he needs to turn up just because he knows this opposition better than most of these players because he played them for the last 3 seasons. He's been playing Villarreal against Atletico Madrid, so he should know what they're going to be like player-wise. And I'm looking for him to turn up tomorrow night, 100%.
Yeah, I am too. And I wanted to ask you guys, this position is interesting, the cam position, because, Smith Rowe, I think, plays it really nicely. And I think he's been good every time he's played there. But then Odegaard comes in, and I think Arteta really likes Odegaard. He likes the way he plays it. And he's a quality player. He's 22 years old. But I'm looking at him, and I'm like, okay, well, based on what I've seen so far, I like you, but I would only loan you back out. Like, I would only take you on another loan. They're quoting him for about 50 million, something around there. And I'm thinking to myself, is he the Odegaard that we've seen so far and the Odegaard that we've seen in the past? Is he a $50 million player? Is this somebody we should take a risk on? What does Odegaard have to do for you guys, for you to be comfortable maybe spending a good amount of money on him in the summer to make him permanent?
Cool. There's not many games for him we're going to kind of see of him. I do think he'll start tomorrow, Jess. I personally wouldn't start him in that. I would start ESR because I want to see Pepe and Saka start. He's done okay. He's done okay. I've been impressed with what I've seen, but I still think we still got quite a few games to go. I'd want to see a tiny bit more before Arsenal even probably think about potentially committing. I don't think we'll get him on a permanent anyway. Even if Arsenal wanted to, I don't think we will. I think it'd be tricky, but you know what it is. I think sometimes as Arsenal fans, I mean, I'm not speaking for myself when I say it. I just see from what I see in regards to sort of social media, where when someone does well for a few games and sign him up, and you think, no, take a back seat. Let's calm down a bit. Like he's playing in a very, very poor side. We're not a good team. Let's be honest. We're a big club by name, but we don't act like a big club. But it'd be interesting just tomorrow. But I think he will start. Like I said, personally, I would have ESR in that in the cam role. But it wouldn't even surprise me tomorrow if he plays ESR and Odegaard.
That's interesting. Dan, what do you think? Would you start Odegaard, and how have you kind of assessed his time at Arsenal so far?
I love his way to pass. I think he's got some creativity to his game. I think he does work hard off the ball, and I think he has massive potential. If it was a case of getting him again on loan with an obligation to buy, I'd be for it. I feel we could do better than him, though, for the money that Real Madrid are asking. Because I think I would probably prefer Houssem Aouar than Martin Ødegaard, personally. And I think they're probably going to be around about the same price. But as for tomorrow's game, I think he will be our number 10. I think he'll be the CAM. I really do. I think that Albert will get his wish, though. I think Pepe and Saka will both start either side of him. I think Smith-Rowe will be dropped. So I think Ødegaard will play there. Listen, this is just what I think. This isn't what I would do. This is what I think the team will be. Because I would be having Martinelli in there 100%. But I think that Ødegaard will play in the number 10. Yeah, I do. And listen, I like him. I think that he's got ability. He's got potential. I'm just not sure that he is. I'd like to see more goals from him because I think we're lacking that massively from midfield. Yeah, I'd love to see him be, more of a Fabregas for Arsenal. I don't think we've had a player like that since, really. We've had half players like Ramsey and people like that, but I've never really seen another Fabregas, and perhaps it's hard to replace, or maybe he is irreplaceable, Fabregas, because he was one of a kind. But I'd like to see more goals from his game in Ødegaard before we start to think about what we want to do with him. But I think he'll start tomorrow.
I agree. I think if he's fit, he plays. Arteta prefers him over Smith Rowe in that position. But it's just a shame because I feel like we need Emil Smith Rowe and Pepe, but one of them is not going to play because we all know that. I mean, I would be very shocked if Bukayo didn't start, and we know he's pretty much the first name on the team sheet, fit or not, so it's going to be Saka. And, Albert, what's your temperature on this? Do you think Emil Smith Rowe will play out on the left, or do you think Pepe will play out on the left?
In my team, I actually have Erdegaard and ESR both playing. I think Pepe will miss out, which I don't want that to be the case. I think he's done more than enough to be starting for tomorrow. And the same thing with Martinelli. Like it's a good headache to have, but unfortunately, Arteta hasn't really used that option very much this season. For whatever reason he's come up with. But I think the Ruckers, for me, the one player I would actually like to see Pepe start tomorrow, if I'm being honest with you. I'm glad Saka didn't play the other day because I think I think he's been overused. Yes, I understand he's a danger man, he's a talent, could get more goals, but I think, you know what, I don't think personally Arteta's kind of managed him that well in terms of the amount of games he's played. I think he could have shared the workload a lot more between the front, 4, 5. He changes it every week. So, I don't know why Saka seemed to be the constant.
Right. I think there's been games where there was no reason to play Saka, and he continued to play him. And that injury that he had was definitely in the post for a while. We could see that it was coming, and he just has looked a little leggy for the last couple of weeks. But the thing about Saka that I really like is that he'll step up. He'll step up in big games. In the last Slavia Prague game, where, we didn't play well in the first leg, but then the second leg we had to show up. He did. Yeah. He really, really did. And so I think he will in this game as well. But, I think having Pepe and Martinelli on the bench is not necessarily a big deal. The issue is, will they get introduced fast enough if things don't go right? Because you can easily take out El Neni and put Smith Rowe in the midfield with Thomas Partey and Odegaard, and then bring Martinelli or Pepe in, to make things a little bit more uncomfortable for Villarreal if things don't go right. But the thing is that the subs always come too late, and you have to give Martinelli and Pepe, players like this, time to get into the game. You can't expect them to score a goal in 5 minutes, but I agree with you guys. I think it's going to be Smith Rowe, and it's just unfortunate because Pepe is in form, but every single time he gets to the point where he looks like he's going to be really dangerous, he gets ripped out of the squad.
Yep.
I think he has to play Pepe. I would have played. I think he will play Pepe, and the reason I say that is because he's been our best player in this competition by far in the Europa League. Pepe, so I will go with that. I think he will. I think Smith Rowe might miss out, but if you two think he'll go Smith Rowe, listen, who knows with this manager, man? Who knows?
I think he'll go safe. I think there'll be one really safe choice, and I think that'll be Smith Rowe over Pepe. I just think that's what he'll go with. The issue with this is you don't have goals without Martinelli and without Pepe. Although Emil Smith Rowe and Saka they can score goals. They're not forwards that score goals the way Martinelli and Pepe are. So when you put Aubameyang up top, who I think is going to start because he did the press conference and we need him in this game, this is putting a lot of pressure on Aubameyang to make it happen. And I think it's just better when you have another goal scorer in there. I actually would prefer Martinelli to start over here and for it to be pretty much what we played against Newcastle, but it won't be, but I think we're not lucky, but I think having Aubameyang back in the team, I think people give him kind of like a bad rep or whatever, saying that he doesn't show up in big games, but he does. A lot of times it just doesn't get shown because we make a mistake later, like in the Olympiacos game last season. So do you guys think that Aubameyang's could turn this tie around? Because I really think that he's the key to all of this working for us.
Well, Gunnar Sol said he scored a hat-trick, didn't he? It'd be nice. It'd be very nice. But you make a good point, because quickly touching on, this is the thing, you're allowed 5 subs, right? Which Arteta needs to, if it's not working tomorrow at some point, whatever point it is, I need this guy we shouldn't have got to this stage in the season, but we need this guy to be proactive and not reactive, man. Come on, like, manage, see what's going on in the game and make the necessary changes if you have to. But yeah, the thing with Aubameyang, it's if you're going to play him obviously up top, which is going to be the case, then we do need goals. So you would, like, whether it's Smith Rowe that messes out, for example, it has to be either Martinelli or Pepe.
Right.
It has to be one of those two. If you're going to have an Uber up there at top, we need, where, like I said, we're going into this game where I think we need to score 2. Let's be honest. We need to score 2. I don't think we're not going to get a 1-0 to the Arsenal. If we do, I'll be very, very shocked. But no, it's going to be pivotal. Obviously, we touched on probably on the interview that Aubameyang had, and he spoke about obviously. Yeah. So I don't want to say too much, but no, if obviously Aubameyang starting, and so I think for me, you would either play Pepe or Martinelli. It would make more sense, and if you have to sacrifice either Odegaard or ESR, I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah, for sure. And with all of the noise around Leno, the last couple of days, and him coming out and saying that he'd be open to a new opportunity or a new challenge or whatever. He's coming up to the last 2 years of his contract. He's been in shaky form. I think he's had spotty form basically since the whole Martinez thing. He hasn't looked great this season. And, even there was rumors of him being unhappy with the coaching situation. He doesn't really get along with Inaki, and the other coach that he did like left. I think that's kind of like the rumors that were going around. And now Matty Ryan starts against Newcastle and has a very commanding performance. And basically, to me, does all the things that I think a lot of Arsenal fans want to see from Leno, but don't really see: commanding his box, organizing the defense, things like that. Do you think there's a chance of Ryan starting in this game? And if he does start, what does that mean for Leno? Because I think if you start Ryan, Leno is gone. He has to be. He'll never play for Arsenal again. What do you think, Dan?
That's why Leno will play tomorrow night. Matt Ryan's done well when he's come in, albeit 3 games. He has done well and he's looked good. But I need to look at who he's played well against: Fulham, Burnley and Newcastle. It's very hard to throw a goalkeeper in who has hardly played for the club and for a while, because he wasn't playing at Brighton in a semi-final of the Europa League. I don't mind Leno. A lot of people hate him. I don't hate him. I think people that are looking in that position as the problem are looking in the wrong area. He's certainly not world class, and I don't think he'll lead us to a title. But I think he'll be able to be good enough to get us into the top 4, because I think he's probably in the top 6 goalkeepers in the Premier League. So there is problems with his distribution. There are problems sometimes with his communication. I think sometimes he comes out. I do get annoyed when he parries it instead of catching it. I wanted Martinez to stay. He didn't. He's now a Villa player. Get over it. Matt Ryan's with us. He could have an opportunity to become our second choice goalkeeper without a doubt. I think that it's looking likely in the summer that we'll keep him. Leno doesn't seem happy. Doesn't seem to want to stay, in my opinion. There's rumours that he might want to leave. You summed it up, Jess, when you talked about the fallout with some of the coaching staff. But let's get it right. If Leno wouldn't have got injured against Brighton last season, Emi Martinez would still be a backup goalkeeper at Arsenal and nobody would have heard of the dude. So Leno would still be our number 1 goalkeeper and Emi Martinez would still be on the bench. So let's not get it twisted and think that Martinez was an absolute disgrace to get rid of him, because this guy was £3 million and then it went up to a £20 million goalkeeper because of how well he played. Now, I would have kept them both personally, and I would have said to Emi Martinez, you're the number 1 goalkeeper, and Leno, it's your chance to fight for those gloves back. And if you are good enough, you'll get them back. But Arsenal Football Club don't do that anymore. We don't have Meninga and Seaman situations anymore. We have Leno and Ryan situations. At the moment, this game is too much for me to put Matt Ryan in. So I think it'll be Leno. Just quickly going on to the Martinelli thing, because I have to touch it. I have to go backwards just for 1 second, because I've been crying out for this dude since Christmas to see him, man. Finally played against Chelsea. Then he played for the first half against West Brom and come off, and we've hardly seen him again since. And we were told he's protecting him for injuries and all this sort of stuff. He played 90 minutes against Newcastle, was by far the man of the match. What more does this dude have to do to get a first team? place. He is one of our most exciting players, potentially one of our best players. I think he's got more potential than Saka because he's got an end product, something Saka does not have. So let's play this dude on the left-hand side tomorrow night. But this manager won't because he might get injured or we have to protect this guy. But he'll happily throw Willian on who could get injured or Eddie Nketiah who can get injured. I mean, we're praying those dudes get injured so they don't have to keep coming on. Do you know what I mean? So let's see more of Martinelli, man. I need to see more of him. And yeah, I think that team looking at it, I'm staying with my prediction because that doesn't fill me with any joy.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be the team. Albert, did you think anything different will happen with the goalkeeper, or do you pretty much think the same as Dan and I that Leno will start?
No, Leno will start, man. I'm sort of asking myself, was I surprised sort of hearing the news about he probably wants to go? I think he's one of them players. I think when people talk about credit in the bank, for example, you can probably apply that to him and Aubameyang. I would say Leno less more so. I think people are very quick to. There's one thing backing your players, and there's another thing backing your players blindly. And to me, yes, there's been some games he's pulled off some amazing saves, and people go, oh, he's a great shot stopper. And I always say when people say that about goalkeepers, right? If you're a goalkeeper and you're not good and you're not a good shot stopper, you should not be in goal.
So true, man.
You should. I've never understood that logic when people say that, but you know what, Jess? If with me, I've said it time and time again with some of these players. I don't have no sentiment attachment to any of these players. So if they don't want to play for Arsenal Football Club, for whatever reason, go. Sell them. Move them on. And you make a good point about when Martinez was here, because I said at the time when they was both at the club that I think Arsenal were in a unique position where you had two goalkeepers that should be number ones. I don't think that's the case at any other club. You could argue Manchester United with Henderson and De Gea. Chelsea don't have that. City don't have that. Liverpool definitely don't have that. So, yeah, it was interesting. I think Leno, probably with Martinez going, and I could probably put this across in many departments of the team and the squad, that there's not enough competition in the places in this squad. That's the issue at Arsenal for years. You know, like I said, even with the right back situation, it's mad because people have got to this point of the season with about a few games to go, and they say, you know, some of the fan base say, oh, you know what, we might need a new right back, we might need a new centre back. And you're like, well, what was you watching for the whole season? Or the season before? Or the season before that? I don't understand the psyche. But with Leno, just, you know what, if like I said, if he wants to go for whatever reason, no problem, man. Like, goalkeepers are not a dying art. If you've got to pay the money to get a decent one, there are goalkeepers out there, just like there are managers out there. Don't let that get anybody fooled, you know. Oh, none of this, who are we going to get? There's always someone out there. Always somebody out there.
I get you. You know, I'm looking at it like, if he doesn't want to be here, he doesn't want to be here. You know, that it is what it is. I'm not attached to, I share your same thoughts. I'm not really attached to many of the players. So if they don't want to be here, they can go.
Yeah.
Leno was one of our better players in the last couple seasons because we were getting battered with shots. You know, now that we're trying to play more possession based, he's more exposed because he's not great with the ball at his feet. That was known when he was at like Leverkusen or wherever he was at. You know, so these are not new things.
Sorry, Jess, one more thing. If I was I don't know if you might agree or not, but if I was a centre midfield player and Leno was my goalkeeper, we'd be having punch-ups every week. Because he puts the midfielders in terrible positions. I'm not defending Sabas, but you saw that pass he gave him in Europa League. That was terrible. He doesn't command the box, and that's the issue. And he takes too long. He invites pressure onto the centre backs and the midfield players. That's my two biggest issues with him. Yeah,
100%. You know, so, but I do think that I'd be shocked if it didn't look something like this tomorrow. So we went with Leno, Chambers, Holding, Gabriel, Granit Xhaka, Partey, Elneny, Odegaard, Saka, Emile Smith-Rowe, and Aubameyang. Why is this always ringing, you guys? Sorry. So annoying. Just ignore me. But yeah,
is that Amazon parcel just as well?
Oh my gosh, don't even. So yeah, but that's what
More croissants, more croissant delivery.
I'm done. I'm done. I could have sworn I pressed the button so it would not make that noise, like in the middle of our thing. So annoying.
Live
But
stream,
you guys smash the likes and subscribe to the channel. We're gonna keep rolling on because I want to talk about Aubameyang. So he said that he thinks that he's really motivated in these games because people have said that he's not involved in big games, so he wants to kind of prove them wrong. And it's a big opportunity for us to get to the final, and we play at home, and this is the biggest game of his Arsenal career. I think that Aubameyang is kind of the key for us to turn this around because I don't know. I think he does show up in big games, maybe not games against the big six in the league, but when we're playing in big games in Europe, some of my most recent memories are of Aubameyang getting big goals, so I think it's a little, depending on how you think about it, you may think that he goes missing, but I do think he shows up. And I think he's had a poor season, for his high standards, 15 goals in all competitions. And he had a thigh injury earlier this season. His mother was sick. He got malaria. And people have been kind of calling him like the new Ozil. He's been accused of not being committed. Dan, for you, has this criticism of Aubameyang been a little bit unfair? This is somebody who last season was by far our best player and was, single-handedly pretty much saving us.
Yeah, the reason it's been so bad is because of his attitude has not been great at times. I think turning up late for a derby, personal problems off the pitch, it got to a stage where you just thought, yeah, maybe Aubameyang's time is coming to an end. But I always have faith in him, and somebody sent me a stat through today that he scored 10 goals in 13 games. So is that shit form? I don't think it is. I think that the last 13 games to score 10 goals, you've done half decent. So I think that it is a situation where he has had some credit in the bank, and he's had enough credit in the bank to kind of merit a few poor performances. My problem is those poor performances have been too many this season, and I can see why people have been frustrated with him. I think he's a centre forward, and I've always thought he was a centre forward. I never liked him on the right or left. Scored goals there, don't get me wrong, but he's definitely a forward. And the reason I see him as a forward is not just because he scored so many goals for Dortmund after Lewandowski went, but actually because not only did he score them for Arsenal up front, his movement is probably the best in the box that I've seen in the Premier League in a long time. If you look at his movement in the box, it's up there with Aguero, it's up there with Thierry Henry at times, and I think he is that good in the box. And we saw that against Newcastle. The goal was great. Great weighted pass, murder guard, superb cross from Martinelli, and an acrobatic finish from Aubameyang. And I feel now that he is fully fit and away from his personal problems, away from his physical problems with malaria, I think personally we are going to see the Aubameyang of old towards the end of this season if he plays him up front. And I think he's probably our most important player tomorrow night because he can turn up for big games. He can. He did it at Wembley. He scored 5 goals in 3 games at Wembley without a crowd. Yet people say, "Oh, it's the crowd not being there. He hasn't had any time to." He's a player that likes to get up for the crowd. Well, he scored 5 goals in 3 games with nobody there at Wembley. So his end to last season was fantastic, winning us, the FA Cup. So I've got faith in him still because how many other players in Europe in his position have his stats? Not many. You can count them on one hand in the last 10 years. The players of his quality, he leaves them all dead in the water. So I've got faith in the guy. I like him a lot. And I hope that he continues to start scoring what we know he can do because he's so important to us, Jess.
I agree. You guys go ahead and get your questions in. We're going to do questions in a couple of seconds. I have one more question to ask you guys about Arsenal, obviously, but Aubameyang. But yeah, make sure you guys get your questions in. Make sure they're obvious so I know they're questions so I don't miss them. But do you think that there's an element of disappointment from Aubameyang? I've been kind of thinking about this the entire season, that kind of the way the events have kind of unfolded. I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, he was said to have been given assurances, when he signed the contract of Arsenal being aggressive and in the market and getting the right types of players around him to get into the top 4. And maybe he didn't feel like there was enough investment. He spoke openly on French TV about Aouar, and the fact that he would welcome a player like Aouar coming into the team. And I'm just wondering if Albert, if you think that maybe there's a disappointment from him just a little bit, if you're somebody who was given assurances and they brought in Willian, Thomas Partey, and Gabriel, who I think we can all kind of agree that's not enough to get you to top four in the state in which our club is at. And then to not have a single creative midfielder available in the squad until December, do you think that might have been where some of his disappointment has come from, if there is any? And would you blame him?
Possibly. What I will say is the club have done a very good job of lying to the fans for so many years, so they got no problem lying to the players. It sounds pretty simplistic, but it's true. Listen, if Aubameyang, I don't know, I'm trying to get into Aubameyang's head, which is probably difficult, but if you look at the recruitment around you for the 3 years he's been here, I wouldn't be happy. Centre backs, midfield, I wouldn't be necessarily particularly happy. And just quickly touching on sort of about Aubameyang and performing against the big teams. I mean, that was massive last season, getting the 2 goals in the semi-final and the goals in the final, because his record hasn't been that great against the big teams. But I think that was a big thing for him. But it's weird because obviously he's never had this kind of spell in his career, and you merge that on top of the fact of what's been going on outside of football, outside of in his personal life, and on top of that, like you said about potential reassurances, which obviously didn't happen, and the fact that he made that remark about Hossein Aouar and no centre attacking midfield player came in, that would annoy me as a forward, because I'm thinking,
who's going to get me the ball?
Yeah, exactly. I got all these goals last season with not really a lot of service. So what's going to happen this season? But funny enough, it's weird because I would actually think he's probably had. I know in terms of the goals we scored this season, like is not been that high, but he's actually had quite a lot of chances to score more than the 15 that he's got. To be fair, I think he should have had about 3 or 4 hat tricks this season on top of the one that he got. But yeah, Aubameyang, it's a weird one, Jess. I mean, hopefully he does the business tomorrow, but that depends on who you put around him in that sort of front 3, including him the front 4, which Mikel Arteta needs to get right. So, yeah, I think you make a good point in regards to what might have been promised in inverted commas and what actually happened, which is a symptomatic problem that we have at Arsenal, unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure. And I see some of you guys in the comments are saying Aouar is not a cam. I know that he's more of an 8 that plays a little bit deeper, but you guys know what I mean. We don't have anybody in our midfield that can progress the ball and get it up to connect the defense to the strikers. So when you bring in Thomas Partey and that's all you bring in, and he's tasked with doing the defensive work and trying to connect, and he hasn't been available, that's not enough. And sometimes Aouar does play off of the left-hand side up front as a left forward. So I understand he's not like a cam, but that type of player is needed regardless if it's a traditional 10 or a progressive 8. We needed something other than Thomas Partey to upgrade the team, because Gabriel's not going to get Aubameyang the ball, is he? No. So that's just kind of the point there. But Yo-Yo asks, if Arsenal progress to the final, how should Arteta use the remaining Premier League games, Dan?
If Arsenal get to the final, I would use them to give some of the kids a chance. I'd bring in Aziz. I'd bring in Pedro Lopez at left back. I'd bring in Balogun up top. And I would try and get Martinelli some games because he needs them. So that's how I would be doing. And I'd save your best team, if he knows what that is, for the final if we get there. Nah, that's my problem, bruv. But honestly, I do not care, and I can say this, old man's up, I do not care what happens in the league. Just bring me that Europa League. I don't care if we come 15th. I don't give a damn. Just bring me the Europa League, and then we'll talk. Otherwise, you know where the door is, Mikel.
So, speaking of he knows where the door is, if there was any chance that he were to get fired, who would the two of you want to come in as manager?
You want me to go first, Albert? You good?
No, yeah, go on, Dan, go on.
So, mine are unrealistic, unfortunately, because the way this club is, we will not go for these individuals. But I've got kind of 3 brackets, really. So, I want a world-class coach. I want an experienced head. I don't want none of these young novices that don't know what they're doing. Yeah, I want somebody in who's got an experienced head. So for me, I would go for top 2, Diego Simeone or Antonio Conte. Right, they would be my first 2. Conte has won everywhere he's been, mate. You know what I mean? So I go for him. My next bracket down would be experience that has won stuff, but would be just below the quality of Conte and Simeone. And those 2 individuals would be Allegri and Rafa Benitez. So the reason I'd probably go for Rafa over Allegri, which sounds crazy, is because he's got experience in the Premier League and in Europe, and the communication is not a problem. And that's something that was a problem with Unai Emery and is a problem, or will be a problem if we get Allegri. And then you can start looking at your Brendan Rodgers and your Ten Hags. So the answer to the question, realistically, I'd go Rafa. Unrealistically, I'd go Simeone.
Albert, what do you think?
Oh, Dan, you beat me to it.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right, man. No, I actually said if when the results were going terrible, towards the end of last season, as you know what, it's for an interim, it screams out Rafa Benitez. It screams out. The guy's got Premier League experience. He's done it at 2 ends of the scale at Liverpool and Newcastle, working miracles at Newcastle, to be honest. Even been at Chelsea as well, won him a trophy. But to me, he would have been an obvious choice to steady the ship. Conte's a good shout, and that's not even just because he won a league recently in Milan. I think if you speak to some Arsenal fans, they said it for about a good 2 or 3 years that they would have been happy to get Antonio Conte, and I wouldn't say no to that. And he's managed in the Premier League before, so he knows what he's doing. So those would be the 2 shouts.
Yeah, I mean, we would have to, anything after Arteta has to be the thing. It has to. It either has to be a sure deal, kind of like interim person that can quickly organize things and get some of the more senior players to just at least respect him, stand up straight and do what they're asked. Or it needs to be the guy. So the guy to me would be more like the Conte or somebody like that that's going to come in and be more long-term, but is going to get the job done. It cannot be another project. It can't be another, because, there's definitely levels. There's levels. And I think even Emery, we may have fooled ourselves into thinking that he was that second tier. He's more like a third, fourth tier type of manager. He's really not up there. So they would have to go get the guy, so I think Conte is the type of manager that you bring in. I mean, he likes to go to different places and have new experiences. So I wouldn't be surprised if we could get him if we actually had the right, this is what we're going to give you and this and kind of stuff. Because I think he's on with Inter today. So he may be looking to do something new, or like you guys said, maybe Simeone. I know people don't like that type of football, but Arsenal fans don't really know what they want. One day they, they're mad that we're getting goals scored on us. But then when we play more pragmatic, then they're mad that this, and they're just flipping back and forth. I just want to win. And I want.
The thing with Allegri, that it's no secret. I think when at the time was it Ornstein was saying that when he was sort of approached about the job, he basically went there like a ball in a china shop and said, "What can you give me? Why should I be given it? What can you offer me?" It's Arsenal said he's too arrogant.
Well, I mean, I think we don't do well with people that have expectations, and we just want people to get along with the get along. When you have people, it goes with players as well. If they know they're about that life, like they know they're the guy, they're going to come in and say, "What are you going to do for me?" And they're not just going to take anything. And that's like even with Saliba, do you really expect him to, just take playing under Rob Holding? No. But we don't do well with that because we're Arsenal, we're the elite club. You come in and we interview you, but anybody knows that a good manager that knows what they're doing is going to come in and interview Arsenal because they don't have to take this job. So anybody that would come in that would be the guy is going to be arrogant. He's going to want the money. He's going to want assurances. And those are things that Arsenal don't want to have to do. They want to just kind of cut corners their way through it, so I don't know if we'd ever get a Conte or Simeone or an Allegri, but those are the types of guys you'd have to look at because we can't do another project. There's no more young managers coming in. That can't happen. For me, it can't happen. But just going back to the game, you guys, what do you score predictions? What do you think? Dan?
Mine's pessimistic, unfortunately. I just can't see us going through. So I'm going to go for another 2-1 win to Villarreal, unfortunately.
No.
I hope I'm wrong. Listen, I hope I'm dead wrong, but
Yeah, of course.
I look at it and think our home record's dreadful.
It
We
is
can't
bad.
keep clean sheets. We lose 1-0 all the time at home. I don't think we're going to go through. And I hope I'm wrong. Of course, I want to win the damn thing, but I can't see it, man. I really can't see it. One thing I will say, I've just seen Man United's fixtures, by the way. Now that they've been screwed over by their own fans, they've now got to play the Europa League final 2 days after their final Premier League season game.
Wow.
Or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, their fixtures are mental. So if they get to this final, they're going to have to try and rotate in the league. So which they can do, to be fair, because they've got good enough players, better than ours. But there we go. I think 2-1 Villarreal. I'm sorry, guys. I hope I'm wrong, but that's what I've got to go for.
Albert, what do you think?
Oh, what did I say? I said we'll get it done in extra time. It's going to be tight, so we'll have to score a couple of goals. So I said 2-1, but obviously I said it'd have to be more than 2. It'd have to be 3-1 or something like that. But I think we might just sneak in and get to the final in extra time, personally. Just.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I thought it was going to be like 1-1 or something like that. I think I don't think we're going to make it. Like I personally I don't think we're going to make it. I think even if we score 1, we will capitulate towards the end when they start putting more pressure on us. If we don't score 2 goals early, I just don't see it, So I really, really hope that it goes well, but I want to be wrong. Like I want to be wrong, but I just have a feeling that, we just may not have enough. And this is just we could just roll out with this. But New Dawn Games asked, you guys think that the fan protest could go ahead tomorrow ahead of the game? Some people are afraid that it's going to rattle the players, but I'm like, they'd be rattled if, I don't know. They seem rattled no matter what's going on. So really,
Yeah.
protests really they're not protesting you guys. They're protesting the owners.
It has to go ahead, man. It has to go ahead at every home game. There's no point just turning up once. You've got to keep it until these guys get handed out, because it will eventually work. A lot of people saying they won't sell up. Yeah, no, they won't at the moment, but they will if we keep doing this. So the protests, as long as they're peaceful, I want to say that, because it wasn't so peaceful at Old Trafford. It needs to be. It needs to be peaceful. Me and Albert were part of it against Everton, and the protest was peaceful. We had one individual that fell off the box office, unfortunately injured himself, and I hope he's okay now. But apart from that, there was no trouble. It was fine. It was a clear message, and it didn't take it away from the message. So as long as it's peaceful, yes, I do think it should go ahead 100%.
Yeah, I think so too. And I mean, if they're not going to come in, I don't think Arsenal fans are going to come in and try to get into the Emirates or anything like that. And it still needs to go on, as long as, the players, they should know that we're backing them. It's just more about the ownership. But I want to thank you guys so much for being on the preview. Like, this has been awesome. This has been so much fun. And I really hope that the next time I talk to you guys, like, we're going to a final or something. Like, I really don't want to, be talking about like more negativity. But Albert, let everybody know where they can find you and what you're up to.
Jess, thank you once again for reacquainting with you. It's very good. I like it. But no, thanks for letting me come in on the channel. I'm seeing my boy Potsy as well. AlbertJTV, Twitter handle @AUMO57. Don't think about it, guys. Come and subscribe to the channel, people.
Yeah, you guys make sure you subscribe to Albert's channel and follow him on Twitter. And Albert, I will talk to you soon. I think probably like tomorrow or something. I think you're going to come on tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, so we will see Albert tomorrow. But yeah, talk to you soon. Bye. Dan, what about you? Where can everybody find you?
Jess, thank you very much for having me on. Much appreciated. Great to reconnect with you again. If you want to come follow me, it's on Twitter @DanArsenal87, or you can follow me every Monday and Friday on the Same Old Arsenal podcast, which is @SameOldAFC, and sometimes I'm on Guns and Yellow Ribbons as well. So if you fancy coming over to subscribe to both of those, please do. I hope that we get a result tomorrow so that we can be positive, and the next time I speak to you, I hope we're going to be planning another preview for the final. Fingers crossed, mate. But we'll see what happens.
yeah, fingers crossed. And you guys make sure you follow Dan, Same Old Arsenal, and all the tags that he gave you guys just right then. And Dan, I'll talk to you soon. And thank you so much for being here. See you
take
soon.
it easy, Jess. See you later, guys. Take care.
Bye. All right, you guys, that's been the preview. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. I will be back at 9 p.m. UK time with Cash, Harry, Souls for, what are we doing? We're doing a live call-in show to talk about the game and what needs to happen and all that kind of stuff. So you'll be able to have your say. I'll send out the link and you guys will, be able to do your thing and talk to us, and should be a fun show. Bring your glass of wine, bring your beer, bring whatever, and let's just have a good time and get the jitters out before this game, because we all know we're nervous. But yeah, you guys, this has been awesome, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye, everyone.